Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer, more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Norwegian author, marketer, and copywriter Asmund from Norway here on the Mike Wagner Show. Talking on the other side of the pond, he's got a new book out called Winner's Mindset, and previously he wrote How to Survive Disaster, 9 Prepper Steps, which is applicable to what's happening today. Also, the 7-Figure Copywriting Handbook, the Real Estate Sales Letters, and more. He's got a very interesting background and live from beautiful Norway, the home of Lutefisk, and just all kinds of things, including chilling out. And ladies and gentlemen, from the other side of the pond, here's author, marketer, and copywriter, and just having a little fun chilling out, Asmund. Asmund, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's late afternoon, actually, here, 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So I was a little bit confused regarding the time zones. You know, what do I say to you? Do I say good morning? Do I say good afternoon? Do I say good night? But that's just how it is.
Well, the thing is, we're 24/7, 365 with the Mike Wagner Show, and with the internet. The reason why I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, somebody in Los Angeles at 6 in the morning could be listening, or somebody in New York could be having lunch at noon listening, or somebody in London having 6 o'clock dinner or supper over in England, and somebody could having a hard time getting to sleep at 2 a.m. in Tokyo, or maybe somebody just getting ready for the day early, like say 4 a.m. in Norway. So that's why 24/7, 365. So yeah, you don't need to worry about the clocks as well too. May as well throw them out. So you're an author, marketer, copywriter from Norway. You got a book called Winner's Mindset. You also had some books called How to Survive Disasters, 9 Prepper Steps, which is applicable today. Also the 7-Figure Copywriting Handbook, the Real Estate Sales Letters, and more. And of course, let's get our minds right on this one. Tell us how you got started being an author, marketer, and a copywriter.
Yeah, thank you. So I've always been interested in writing because at school, we had to pretty much, I'm guessing, have the same subject as you did over in the United States: maths, physics, English. We have Norwegian, by the way. You guys have English and so on. And I was more of a writer, more of a reader than someone who took pleasure in calculating stuff. So I've always loved to write, always wrote these stories. And but let's just say that me and my teachers in Norwegian didn't quite agree on what was good writing and what was bad writing, because I was more tapping into people's minds. I was more trying to read other people's thoughts instead of just writing down-to-earth stuff, if you know what I mean. So that was actually what triggered me to write Winner's Mindset, and also How to Survive Disaster, because I approached this whole prepper thing from a position of getting to know other people and getting to know their mindset, instead of stockpiling up with ammunition and stockpiling up with toilet paper and all the other stuff.
That toilet paper, it's like you're at a point like, who gives a crap about toilet paper?
Yeah, it's exactly. Who gives a literal shit about toilet paper?
Yes, you can stop the toilet paper now, or the penalty is give us some.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so funny because it's happened here in Norway too. Literally on the same day that they announced the lockdown and the possible curfews regarding to the COVID-19, people starting stockpiling toilet paper like crazy, and all sorts of other foods and beverages. I mean, it's just crazy they think that because of the virus, we're getting a food shortage, which is not true, at least not for the time being. So yeah. I think it's a mindset issue, but that again goes back to actually knowing someone and just being friends with someone. Because here's the thing: I grew up being bullied. I was bullied for 11 years at school and in high school, and I know how it is to be alone. So I actually wrote the Winner's Mindset and the Real Purpose Secret. Excuse me, the How to Survive Disaster ebooks to in order to teach people the importance of knowing other people and to have a good relationship with your neighbors and so on. Because I see that as a more important issue right now than, for example, stockpiling up with toilet paper and ammunition and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that there are loads and loads of other prepper groups out there who maintain the focus of stockpiling ammunition, preparing to shoot down the masses of people who they fear want to invade and loot their homes and so on. And I just think that that's the wrong way to approach this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I focus more on genuine relationships with other people. So that's where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm. And what's your basis for the disagreement of stockpiling in Norway, say, compared to other countries, including the United States?
Excuse me, what's that again?
Oh, okay, what is the disagreements you have when it comes to stockpiling, especially in Norway? It's like, what's like the big difference, with why you think stockpiling is bad, like in your country, compared to others where they think it's necessary, and if it's like, if you do tend to stockpile, it's like, what limits should there be when it comes to stockpiling, not going overboard, like say, one of this, one of that, instead of like 50 of this or 50 of that.
Yeah, sure. So I think that most people have a understanding of what is acceptable or not, and there's nothing wrong in and of itself to stockpile, as long as you don't take, I don't know, 50 packs of toilet paper at once, but instead you buy, let's say, I don't know, you buy one extra pack of toilet paper every single month or something like that, so that you have you have a spare stockpile for when things get tough, but you don't go into the store and you kind of loot it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And especially not while others are doing it. Now I'm actually one of those who have been stockpiling, but I've been stockpiling gradually. I've been stockpiling for years, and I stockpile, like, instead of buying one pack of toilet paper, I'm buying 2 packs. Instead of buying one pack of toothpaste, I buy 2 packs, and so on. You know what I mean? So that
Mm-hmm.
I have a storage of all the essential items in case things get really dire.
So,
And then you have the media, then you have all the politicians who actually publicly go out and say that you can't stockpile. And what happens if a politician goes out and says you can't stockpile? Well, people are doing exactly that. It's
mm-hmm.
like telling a child, no, you can't do that. I
so,
mean,
so in other words, it's pretty much like reverse psychology, where it's like most politicians, they say, no, you can't stockpile, but here they are, they get 50 things of toilet paper for themselves and then just pass it on to their cronies.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know what Trump has done in the United States, but in Norway, the prime minister went publicly and said, "Don't stockpile, don't stockpile, don't stockpile." I mean, come on.
and here you are in live media. It's like, they got like 50 packs of toilet paper and 50 bottles of vodka, whatever it is, and stored inside. Yeah. Someone took like a hidden camera in there. But then the whole basis on the stockpiling thing, and say you buy one thing of toothpaste, you buy 2, and the same thing with food. Let's say you buy a pound of hamburger meat, you buy 2 pounds, or say a bundle of bananas, you get 2 bundles. So it's like you basically just double up on normally what you consume for a single person or a household or a large family.
Yeah, exactly. And you do that progressively from day 0 or from day 1 that you apply this mindset. So I've been doing this for a long time. I have, like I said, I have a storage of what I consider essential items: toilet paper, toothpaste, some boxed and canned foods, meats and other beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in and of itself, because there are, at least in Norway, and I would assume in the United States as well, there are enough items for everyone, as long as people don't, rush into all the stores and buy everything at once. But
Mm-hmm.
if everybody bought like 2 packs instead of one every single day, then people, people would actually have a spare storage of these items, and you wouldn't have the need to, loot the stores and behave like maniacs.
Mm-hmm. And now you guys are curfew in Norway as we speak at this time. There's like certain areas that have curfew in the United States where some stores shut down at 8:30 and or reopen at 6. Do you guys have a similar curfew when it comes to stores in Norway?
Yeah, pretty much. Only it's not. I don't know. It's not enforced by law. It's just urged by the authorities not to. For example, you can't be more than 10 people inside a store at once, depending on how big it is, and you should keep a minimum distance of 6 feet and so on. But there hasn't been any public curfew as of right now. But the sole exception is in my local county, for instance. If you leave the county, then you're getting quarantined once you return. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a bit of a headache for a lot of people, especially those who commute and so on, and also, of course, for those who live outside the country and to work here as seasonal workers and so on. So it's it's making things a little bit difficult, to say the least. But
Mm-hmm.
that's
Well,
that's
well,
just how it is.
right. We'll also talk about the rest of the prepper steps as well, too. But first,
Yeah.
listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And we encourage you not to hoard any of these items as well. We're here with Norwegian's Asmund, Ryningen, author, marketer, and copywriter here on the Mike Wagner Show. He has a new book called Winner's Mindset. We've been talking about how to survive disaster, since this is a rather appropriate time. We talk about one of the prepper steps as well, too, and give us some more of the prepper steps as well, too. And, besides the stockpiling and how to do it gradually, what are some of the other methods you could prepare?
Yeah, so in my ebook, I've actually listed a set of 9 steps that I personally would recommend that everyone follow. And I draw a lot of criticism from my fellow preppers and from the overall prepper community, which is fine. I mean, we all have to disagree on something. Now, I've written it very consciously, and I've started by assuming, or by saying, that you shouldn't tell anyone you don't trust that you're prepping. That's step 1. And the
Very
reason
obvious.
for that, yeah, exactly, very obvious, especially during these times, because I might sound like a doomsday conspiracy theorist, but what happens if you advertise to the world that you have loads and loads of toilet paper and vodka and other essential items, and there's loads of people who don't have? I mean, on one side, it's immoral not to share, obviously, but you yourself can't save the world. We all have to take care of ourselves eventually. You yourself come first. I myself come first. So that is why I consider it the most important to prep in hiding, to don't reveal it to the rest of the world. And I don't understand those who would claim otherwise.
Mm. And most importantly, don't reveal it to your neighbors as well, too. And
Yeah,
you could share once in a while, but don't go overboard.
exactly. And you need to, you need to know whom it is that you're sharing it with. Can you trust this person? Like I said, could you lend your neighbor your lawnmower and get it back intact? If you could, then that's a good sign. Could you trust your neighbor to get your mail while you're gone on a vacation? Or could you actually trust your neighbor with the keys to your house? That's another very good tell. If you couldn't do that, then I wouldn't have, said like, hey, just so you know, I'm prepping, but don't tell anyone.
Right, exactly. I think that's more common sense, and that's what's lacking in a lot of the world these days, not just the U.S. or Norway, but just all over the world, just lacking common sense.
Yeah, it is. And especially with the advent of social media and the urge to share and to get likes and, positive comments and feedback and all of that, is a lot of people, they take pictures of their storages, of their stockpiled ammunition, of their toilet papers, and of their kind of like bunkers and hidden storages and all of that. And, why do you want to do that? You're drawing the negative kind of attention, because during a crisis, people are going to flock to you. And what if you have children? What if you, I don't know, if you're a husband, if you're a father, you have a wife, and you have 3 children, and they're all, I don't know, 2, 5, and 8 years old, and you have a bunch of strangers who want to raid and loot your home because you have spare items that they need. That's not a very pleasant situation to be in.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. And of course, talking about stockpile, what's the limit on perishable foods when it comes to stockpiling?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't have the answer, obviously, because I'm assuming it depends on where in the world you're living. I know that for example, during the Second World War and during the oil crisis here in Norway, they had to ration food and gasoline and all of that stuff. And if there should be a war, I don't think the we're due for war, but if there should be a war, or if there should be a weaponized conflict, then that's one of the things the authorities are going to enforce. Exerting ration on how much things you can have.
Mm-hmm. And what about storage of gasoline and oil, fuel, and other petroleum products? What's a guideline to prepping when it comes to gas? Is it wise to have like a spare area to store gasoline or other fuel, or do you just simply just plan ahead to say fill your fuel tank? It's like there's safety involved when it comes to petroleum.
Yeah, it is. I mean, here in Norway, I think you can store up to 20 liters of gasoline in your house, which is the equivalent of, I don't know, 5 or 6 US gallons, maybe. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly the measurement, but it's not a very big volume that you can spare. It's like, I don't know, 1/3 of a gasoline tank of a car, or half of a tank of a gasoline tank of a car. So just going by law, you can't stockpile gasoline, and that's because fire hazards and all of that.
Mm. And
So yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was finished. I was finished with it.
Oh, okay. What's the price of gas right now in Norway?
It's it's very expensive. It's let me see. It's 15 Norwegian kroner per liter of gasoline, which is, let me see, two or no, $1.50 per liter of gasoline.
Mm.
I don't know. Do you guys use liters over there as a
We
measurement of volume?
Well, some places use liter. We mostly use gallons, but you say like
Yeah.
a buck 50 a liter. I think that's around that same range. It's like I'm seeing like prices averaging like just above $2, some about $1.80. And I saw one place that was about $1.59 a gallon. And at one
Oh,
point, maybe last year, it was about averaging 2.53, and maybe a few years ago, it was skyrocketing at about maybe 3.54. And California is like $5 a gallon. So
oh.
so so yeah, it also depends being a comedy too. It's just like, having prices go down, it tells you about the economy as well too. So
Yeah, it's really skyrocketing, isn't it? I mean, someone said once, I don't really know where, or I can't exactly remember where, but someone said once that the price of oil is decreasing because of this whole coronavirus thing, because supposedly Russia and Saudi Arabia are mass producing oil to disturb the oil price. I don't really know about that. The only thing I know is that the local price of of gasoline has increased steadily over the years.
And of course, I'm not here to comment about the Russian and Saudi Arabia situation since it hasn't been verified yet. And of course, what's the one more thing that you need to do when it comes to the prepper steps before we talk about your other couple of books?
Yeah. So, like I said, that step one was to not tell anyone, and step two is, it might be a little bit contradicting, but I maintain the notion that you should build a community, a team or a network of people you trust and who trust you when it comes to prepping. And that is where it gets very difficult, actually, because prepping isn't a one-man journey. It is a teamwork. It's all about community. And that is where finding out what kind of people you can trust becomes vital. Can I trust this person with the keys to my car or to my house? Do I know that this person will return my lawnmower or whatever I'm lending him or her intact upon return, and so on? And so there is no easy answer to this. You just have to do the grunt work. You just have to go out there and and talk to people, and you have to get burned. You have to get scarred, and then you'll learn. There is no single answer to this, but this is, and once again, I'm kind of a loner in this regard, because I see, especially in the prepper community, people are very fond of being alone and like being the lone wolf and not relying on others. I think they regard it as a weakness, whereas I regard it as a strength.
And are you encouraging people to say, get yourself a cabin in the woods, buy some land, build a house, or do you encourage people to build a bunker underneath and say when the bomb drops, or just simply stay at home and just put on some further security, or just go on as is? It's like, what do you recommend?
No, like I said, I don't recommend anyone, building their own personal fortress, so to speak. If you have a cabin in the woods because, I don't know, because it's a family property or something, that by all means use that as a way of escaping if things get hot. But what I recommend is actually that you build a long-term relationship with your neighbors or relatives or whatever, and then you arrange for your family to stay there and for their family to stay with you. And this has to be an agreement of mutual trust, of mutual understanding, and there is no easy way of doing this. Once again, I see myself as a bit of a loner, but I don't see the reason to, or I don't see how you would build a bunker and isolate yourself during a crisis, because eventually the crisis will come to you. Soon soon the whole world around you will be burning, and then it's too late, and then you'll burn to death. That's that's where I'm coming from. But again, I mean, people are different. I just maintain the notion that we're all stronger together, but you need to trust those around you.
And that's very important as well too. And where can people purchase the book, How to Survive Disaster: 9 Prepper Steps?
So they can go to Amazon.com and purchase it right there, or they can sign up to my email list, and I'm happy to send them a copy if they do so. If you sign up to my email list, then you'll get the Winner's Mindset, the first chapter, for free, and you can also buy that on Amazon.com. Just sign up, and I'll be happy to send you the 9 prepper steps for free.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll talk about the winner's mindset in just a minute, and a great mindset you have indeed. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look on a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author, marketer, and copywriter Asmund from Norway here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about how to survive disasters. We talked about a few of the prepper steps, which are 9 prepper steps, and we're going to talk about the winner's mindset. And you got pretty much of a winner mindset as well too. So tell us more about the book and what inspired you to write it.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, I approached this from a very dark and depressing place because from age 7 till 18, I was bullied. I was bullied for the entire school, or from during the, I don't know exactly what the schools are labeled as in the United States. I think they're called like elementary, middle, and junior high and senior high school. Isn't that what you guys call it over there?
It's somewhere around there. There's preschool, which used to be nursery school. Then you have kindergarten. Then you got grade school, middle school, junior high, high school. After graduating high school, then you go on to college, and then you go to work. You just further your studies. So that's how the system is.
Yeah. So I was bullied from age 7 till 18, which is in Norway from let me see, that should be grade school, middle school, elementary school, and junior high, and also parts of senior high school for more than 11 years. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anyone to rely on or to support me. Even my parents turned the blind eye to me when I was bullied, and as well as the teachers. And so I had to kind of like revert into myself, and I had to learn to love and to like myself. And that's a very difficult thing to do when you're a kid, when you're growing up. And that was what inspired me actually to write The Winner's Mindset, because I consider myself a winner for actually having endured those 11 years of bullying and resistance and adversity. And I want to share that with the rest of the world. And I think it's especially important during these times that we're now in, especially with the COVID-19, because I don't know how things are in the United States, but I see a lot of people here in Norway, they're getting very depressed, they're getting very moody because they have to stay inside. Bars and pubs and conventions are closed. They can't go out, and so they're forced to stay at home. If they want a breath of fresh air, they can leave the house and go for a walk. That's no biggie, but they have to maintain a distance from other people. And so I see a lot of people now, I see them reveal their true colors. They don't have a winner's mindset because they don't believe in themselves, because they've been cuddled with from birth. I know I'm being a little bit harsher, but that's actually the reality. And I believe that's such a crisis that we're in right now, especially when it comes to being prevented from socializing with other people, shows you how much you need to assume a winner's mindset and to believe in yourself first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. That was something I asked you about, you being bullied in school from 7 to 18. What do you think about today's way of handle bullying in the schools? Saying like, wear paint, put a thing that says, I'm being bullied, please be kind to me and everything. It's like, what are your thoughts on, how's bullying being handled today in the schools compared to what you went through?
Yeah, so I don't know what you guys do in the United States. I'm guessing it varies a little bit from state to state, maybe, I don't know, and depending on what kind of community you're in. In Norway, they're doing a very poor job, and they used to do it as well when I grew up. What I see now is that there's loads of celebrities in Norway who endorse people who are getting bullied, which is, I think it's great. I think that's what a celebrity should be using his or her status for, and reach of influence. But they're not teaching the kids to stand up for themselves. I was told by my father and by my mother to turn the other cheek, with respect to the Bible and all of that. But that only works for so long. There comes a time when you have to lay down boundaries for what is acceptable and what is not. And I actually maintain the notion and the idea that if things don't work anymore, and if people don't stop bullying you, then you have to you have to man up and punch the bully in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Right. That was a thing they did back in the old days as well, too. It's like if you can only handle so much, but then they invade your space. It's like,
Yeah,
I usually tell people that if a person strikes you, that's like invasion of space. You have a right to strike back. But a lot of
yeah.
people don't take it that way. And it's like you strike back, you get in trouble. And people don't realize that you invade their space first. So you got a right to say, hey, I've got a space to protect. So it's like, don't you invade it. Is that part of the tactic you use in the winner's mindset? Like, say that someone strikes you, you have a right to strike back.
Yes, of course it is. I mean,
Okay, good.
but it's all under context. If you have misbehaved and if you have run your mouth and you've told them some stuff and they hit you back, then obviously you deserve that, right? But if they go on and they're mean to you and they abuse you verbally and physically and they start hitting you, then yes, I believe that you have the right to punch back. But that all it depends on context. I'm not saying that if you're going out to a restaurant or to a pub or something or to a bar and there is some maniac who's had a few too many and wants to fight you, I'm not saying that it's wise to punch back. I mean, in that regard, you'd be wiser to call for security or to call the cops, obviously. But if you're a kid, if you're at school and you're getting bullied and they don't want to stop and they're really reckless and it's wearing you down, then yes, I honestly believe that you should punch them in the face to
Mm-hmm.
to show that I've had enough. Quit doing it. This is not okay. And this is how nature works as well. This is how animals do. I mean, I grew up with dogs, and I remember so well when I remember so well when our family dog had enough. He would he will attempt to bite us as kids because he wouldn't take it anymore, and that was just his defense mechanism. He didn't mean to hurt us. That was just his way of saying it. Stop it! I've had enough. It's not okay what you're doing. So I believe that the current anti-bullying scene is doing a most poor job, and they're they're actually urging children to talk together. But you can't have 8 9 year olds or even teenagers, especially young teenagers, talk together about their feelings and all that. It doesn't work like that, especially not with young boys. I mean, I can't say how a girl's mind works because obviously I'm a man, but I can say that a young boy's mind, especially during his teens, especially during his early teens, you can't talk about your feelings and emotions and all of that nonsense. There comes a time when you have to lay down the boundaries, and that's where the anti-bullying scene is failing at a large scale. I don't know how things are in the United States, but I'm assuming it might be a little of the same, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's really hard to say. It depends on the region, the state, and everything else. And of course, it's a rather mixed bag. I'm not here to comment on that whatsoever. But we're doing more research on it, and I've heard some people too. They say they use humor just to detract the bully as well too. Like say bully come and say ha ha that nice shirt, and you come back and say ha 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 you can come up with something. It's like either bully will back off, they'll laugh, or they'll just come after you, or it's like you just simply say, or what's your thought on fight fire with fire, especially when it comes to words?
No, I know what you mean. I actually attempted to do that myself when I grew up, but it really didn't work. It might have been because I was poor with words, but I always attempted of taking the verbal route first, and then I eventually would back off because in my mind I knew that both of my parents had said that no fighting at school, you can't fight, and fighting leads to war and all of that stuff. They were trying to scare me, and I think that because I grew up in a little town, I mean, I think there's like 200 or so people. No, maybe 300 or 400 people who live in that little town where I grew up. And at school we were only like 50 or 60 students, so there wasn't much variation. And if I'd had the choice of changing schools, or if my parents had the choice of changing or moving me to another school, they could have done that, but they didn't have a choice. So it was like a series of unfortunate events. But I definitely can relate to what you're saying, fighting words with words and mocking the bullies and so on. But it just didn't work in my case. And I've heard the same thing from others as well. In fact, right now there's this big case going on in Norway with a bunch of people in their early 50s, late 40s, Gen Xers who grew up during the 70s in another rural town in Norway, who went through pretty much the same thing as I did. Only they've actually taken this matter to court.
Wow. That was another method they did. I remember maybe 10, 20 years ago, but then they put a stop to it where a judge says they threw out the case and say, you guys will have to handle it yourselves. It got just like, you're right. It was just like so much of an overload on the judicial system.
Exactly. And, I understand these people, if I could do it just to get, I don't know, revenge, then it would have been sweet to have those old bullies condemned in court and sentenced to whatever punishment the judge found appropriate. But I think it's a step back, and I think it's ripping up in old wounds, and I don't think it's going to benefit these bullying victims long term. Because, lots of them are, like I said, in their mid-40s to early 50s. They're adult people, and they should know better, quite frankly. I mean, I moved on. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 16 years old, and I didn't look back. And there's no way I'm ever moving back to the old town where I'm from. Except, I visit my parents every now and then, by all means. But I have no intentions of settling down there. And I think that these people should do the same thing, because I'd actually say it's kind of a waste of court resources to take such matters to court. I mean, there are more important issues that the court should worry about.
Like say with murders, drug dealers, and bankruptcies, divorces, to what's going on as well too. And of course, let's get away from the bullying aspect on the winner's mindset. What are some of the things you can do to achieve a winner's mindset? Like say, physical, or say spiritual, emotional, or even financial. It's like, what are some ways you can improve in those areas besides, getting over the whole bullying aspect?
Yeah, all of those areas are actually interconnected somehow, at least if you ask me. And that is through physical exercise and getting in shape. And the reason I maintain that notion is because I used to be overweight myself. I'm 5'11", and I used to weigh around 250 pounds. So I was quite the big guy. But then I lost weight. I took my diet seriously. I changed my lifestyle. And now I weigh about 180 or 185 or so pounds.
Impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I started doing it at age 30. I mean, I should have started at the age 20 or something. I'm 35 years old now, by the way. So I was quite, I don't know, old, if you want to use that word, in terms of starting my weight loss journey or my physical fitness journey. And if someone is physically fit, it means that they're not afraid of hard work, and it means that they're not afraid of getting their hands dirty and rolling up their sleeves and getting to work. And that's actually the first step of improving your life in any terms, be it physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, socially, pretty much anything. Because people trust. I think this is a universally recognized truth. It might be a little taboo, but if you have two people, one is fit and one is overweight, morbidly obese or whatever, then the majority of people are going to trust the physically fit person, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I don't know how to word myself right now, but I'm just gonna be blatantly honest. I discriminate against obese people who don't want to change their lifestyle. Because unless you have a condition or a disease or an illness that makes your body churn out fat cells like there's no tomorrow, then it's your choice. It's your it's your life, and you actually have the choice of reducing your weight and of losing weight. And
Mm-hmm.
it tells you so much about a person who does that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And,
that is why yeah, sure, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just finished. I was just going to say that because of that, it means that if you're overweight and you start losing weight and you start becoming physically fit, it means that you actually have done some hard work, and you're not afraid of getting your hands dirty. You're not afraid of putting in the work to improve your life, and that is where it starts.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important too. You want to become a marketer and copywriter as well too. And how did you get involved with marketing and copywriting?
Yeah, so I've always loved people, believe it or not. I've always loved interacting with people, and I've always loved writing. So that was kind of like the ideal work, or the ideal, I don't know, occupation, if you wanna consider it that. To me, was to write in order to persuade someone to buy or to sell something.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love that, and I love interacting with people around the world. You and me now are interacting, even though we're on the opposite side of the world, so to speak. But by the miracle of the internet, we actually get to talk together, which I think is great.
Yes, hallelujah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny too that you talked about your love for people, but then you're bullied. You're like, "Hi, nice to meet you." Bam.
yeah,
Let's talk about what we do. Yeah, that's a new way of getting rid of bullying. Hi, nice to meet you. Pow. What can I
yeah,
do
yeah,
for you?
yeah. But actually, that illustrates another point that I wanted to get to, was to actually start to fight. And I don't mean fighting on the street. I mean, go to a boxing gym, go to an MMA gym, and learn to fight a little bit, because you never know. And I'm not saying that you should get involved in fights. I'm saying that you should avoid getting involved in fights. But if disaster is there, if you have to defend your family, then one punch is all it takes, and that
Mm-hmm.
is also something that will toughen you up, especially mentally, because it wears you down mentally, getting punched in the face all the time when you're sparring. Trust me, I've done that so many times.
Oh yeah, and I think the way you're going, you should be a boxer as well too, just like Rocky in the United States, or
Yeah, yeah,
or Dolph Lundgren on the other side of the pond.
yeah, yeah, especially, yeah. And I don't know. I think that in the United States, boxing has a more cleaner reputation. In Norway, it's not so clean yet. I mean, the ban on professional boxing was lifted only 6 years ago here in Norway. So it's been legal to arrange boxing fights here in Norway for 6 years, and that's quite insane if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure maybe they take a cue from the United States as well too, and I'll fight properly. But with you being a marketer now, did you have to learn by yourself how to be a marketer and copywriter, or did you go to school for that, or did you like have to take courses, go through teachers, or did you work for a company that was in marketing?
No, actually, I had to take some courses. I mean, I think it's safe to say it was a combination of teaching it or learning by doing, and also by taking some courses. Because no matter how interested and how good you are at something, you can always benefit from taking another course. So that is why I recommend anyone who wants to become a writer, anyone who wants to become a marketer or a copywriter, take a course. It's worth the money, and apply what you learn,
Mm-hmm.
especially the last part. Apply what you learn, because there's so many people who don't do that.
And it's very important too. Let's talk about your other two books before we wrap up here. We would like to have you back on soon. You wrote the 7-Figure Copywriting Handbook and the Real Estate Sales Letters, and tell us quickly about those two books.
Yeah. So the 7-Figure Copywriting Handbook, that was pretty much just a sample ebook I wrote with ideas that I consider important if you wanted to make a lot of money. But there was a slight error, because I think I came across as someone who'd written copy for, you know, that raked in millions of dollars. Obviously, I haven't done that yet, but it was more the notion. This is what you should do. This is my understanding of what it is. And this is what is important if you want to write copy that sells a lot. And so I studied a lot of the copywriting greats, and I just kind of like mimicked their way of writing sales letters. And so when it comes to the real estate sales letters, I took a different turn than most real estate copywriters, because instead of writing about the property and how it looks and all of that, I wrote more about the importance of owning real estate and renting and making money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it would benefit your family if you, for example, had lots and lots of real estate and you could rake in some passive income through that.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing too. And have you actually worked for a real estate agency or an ad agency?
No. These are just, I forgot to say that. Those two books you mentioned, those are just sample ebooks with the idea that I maintain for how things should be written. But I have no affiliation, or I haven't worked for any real estate company at all. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to put it out there. I in hindsight, I perhaps should have put a little disclaimer saying that this is just my opinion, this is just my view on the world, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. But of course, I think you'd be really good at as well too, and that's something you could probably take up as well too during the COVID-19 virus. It's like staying at home, study up, and I think it'd be great too. And love to have you talk more about it as time goes on later in 2020 and beyond. And there was just a couple of things here with Asmund, the author, marketer, and copywriter on the Mike Wagner Show with Winner's Mindset, How to Survive Disaster, the 9 proper steps, and more. And also just a couple of things. And who are your favorite writers growing up?
So my favorite writers were actually a bunch of Norwegian guys. I don't know if how many Norwegian authors you know, but one of them is Knut Hamsun. He wrote books about Norwegian agriculture during the early 1900s.
Uh-huh.
And I related very well with that, because I grew up on the countryside, and when I was isolated, when I was bullied, I found pleasure in reading those books because they were so vivid. He was such a great user of word pictures. And also, of course, Dan Kennedy. I don't know if you heard about him. He's an American marketer. He's one of the very best. He's one of my all-time favorites as well. But like I said, when I grew up, it was Knut Hamsun, a Norwegian author. He's my number one favorite.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing too. Who's the biggest influence in your career?
So my biggest influence in my career has to be a guy named Ben Settle. He's a copywriter and a publisher from the United States. I think he lives in Oregon. And he's just kind of like changed my whole view on the publishing, copywriting, issuing thing. And he's constantly in my mind all the time. So yeah, I credit lots of my work to Ben Settle.
That's fantastic. I'll check out some of his books. And what's the best advice to give to anybody at this point?
So my best advice is to just start getting physically fit, because it all starts with you getting physically fit. Start doing some push-ups, start doing some sit-ups, start doing some burpees right now inside your living room or in your bedroom or wherever, if your gym is closed, and just get in shape, because that's where it all starts.
And I think that's important too. And what are your upcoming plans for 2020? Any books we'll be expecting later on in 2020 and beyond?
Yeah. I'm currently involved in a couple of new books that I'm writing, and I plan to publish those later during the fall, maybe. I don't exactly know. And that's pretty much where I'm at this moment, is to write more books and to issue and to release them, and they'll be available on Amazon.
Sounds great. Okay, love to have you back on sometime in 2020 and beyond. Keep us up to date. Once again, Asmund, the author, marketer, and copywriter here on the Mike Wagner Show. Winner's Mindset, How to Survive Disaster, 9 Proper Steps, and more. And before go here, you've been fantastic. Love to have you back on. Tell us once again your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? And where can people purchase your books?
Yes, thank you so much. So I make it actually very easy for people. You can communicate with me through email. If you go into realpreppersecrets.com/free and sign up for my email list. And you can also purchase all my books on Amazon. Just just type in my name on Amazon and you'll find them all there. So realpreppersecrets.com/free.
That's fantastic. Asmund, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep this up to date. Looking forward to have you on in 2020, and we'll probably share over Lutefisk or something.
Yeah, we should do that. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.